what does that tell you? I mean, that tells you poor leadership, poor mission definition, abuse of their people. They're not taking care of them. They're making them do bad things that they shouldn't do, or encouraging the psychopaths. Whatever it is, this is a societal problem. We have the same thing in our country. You know, we have, I don't know what the numbers are now, but it used to be, I forget what they said it was, certain number every day of veterans that killed themselves. And that's just the ones that actually do it, not the ones that slow kill themselves through drugs, alcohol, and risky behavior. So we have the same problem. And why? Because we send our troops to do things that really have no meaning to our country. And it's possible for Israelis, they might want to make their country a little stronger. You know, everybody wants a rest break. And, you know, they're not going to give up on greater Israel, but now's not the time. And maybe possibly that's how they're feeling. If they do feel that way, then this can be sold to them. They will be receptive to it. You know, there's many good aspects of this. I mean, anytime you're talking instead of shooting, I think it's a good thing.
Let me read. Naftali Bennett is giving an interview right now as we speak. I'm just going to read out some excerpts that the team is sending me. Quote, Naftali Bennett, if you say we'll kill the enemy, you burn through your diplomatic capital before the job is done. Much of the world thinks Israel wants to annex Gaza and Lebanon. So you offer a different vision. Quote, my goal is a new Gaza. My goal is a new Lebanon. Then you explain how to get there. Destroying Hamas is part of that path, not the vision itself. When military action is tied to a broader political endgame, the whole story changes. Okay, so this is propaganda. All right, that's number one. He's talking about how to commit propaganda, how to conduct propaganda.
Sure.
Two, it's quote number 2. Arab leaders don't wake up in the morning thinking about the Palestinians. You know that? I know that. None of them truly care about the Palestinian issue. What do Arab leaders care about? Their own public opinion. Every Arab leader cares about the mood on the street. But to be honest, he's saying partially the truth. A lot of these Arab leaders, their priority is what their people are saying.
Yeah.
And if their public is in a frenzy against Israel because we're constantly appearing in a terrible light, then even if you were to promise a Palestinian state, it wouldn't necessarily help. In any case, there's one thing I won't do. I won't endanger the state of Israel with a Palestinian state. I won't sign on to that. I don't know what he's hinting at here. But he said earlier today, it's a good time to mention this. In the morning, he said, for the first time since the establishment of Israel, the brand Israel is a net negative in the United States. That's a disaster. It's a disaster. We have a huge task ahead of us in reversing the public image of Israel. It all starts with replacing the infantile ministers of the state of Israel's government, who day in, day out say really stupid things that benefit no one, create enormous harm, and exhaust and waste precious political capital. So that was in the morning. And I'll read out one more statement he made in his interview now that just came out. First of all, no long wars. This doctrine or this method of dragging a war out for years runs completely against Israel's strategic concept. It doesn't fit Israel. We're a small country. It wears down the economy, wears down the reservists, and erodes our international standing. You know, these statements from someone I know has a violent approach to foreign policy are a much better alternative to Netanyahu. And the reason is Netanyahu benefits personally, not politically, personally, from wars.
Yes.
Naftali Bennett doesn't. He's not facing criminal investigation and hearing that is delayed every time there's war, there's a security threat. So I don't know. I don't know.
He's definitely speaking as a Zionist patriot or Israeli, but he is saying the right thing and he's addressing what every Israeli already knows. You know, a good politician never tells the people anything they don't already know. They kind of reflect what you already think, and you go, "Oh, this guy gets it," and he doesn't get it. He's just mirroring you.
I like that. I'm gonna steal that, Karen. I'm gonna steal that statement.
But I think Naftali Bennett is speaking. He understands how the people are feeling, and also in a small country, and not just being at war constantly or low-level conflict all the time. These are their children, and it's a small country, and there's a lot of them that have been through this. I mean, this is in some ways, you know how our military, we get a lot of our people from the South and from maybe the Midwest, right? A lot of our recruits. So if you go to certain states like West Virginia, or southern places like Southern Ohio, you've got a lot of families that have kids in these militaries, kids that have been deployed, kids that have served time, and sometimes have come back damaged from that. So because so many people have a shared experience of having a kid or an uncle or a brother or sister who has come back damaged from a war that you didn't really understand, that maybe was a political war, maybe it was something that didn't really benefit you. And there's more of your society is impacted by that. That's a group. Well, think about Israel. Israel's whole society is impacted by that, except for the Orthodox that don't serve in they don't send their kids to the IDF and that's 20% of the people. So 80% of the population is bearing the brunt of what endless war does, endless stupid war that doesn't achieve its objectives. It does to your children or your brothers, your sisters, your wives, your husbands who are serving in this military. So I think Naftali is pinging right off of that. I mean, he understands how they're feeling. And also, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that having a guy like Ben-Gvir or even Smotrich, I don't care how smart they are in their jobs that they do for the government, those guys are political disasters. They have increased by themselves the hatred and contempt that the world has for Israelis, which is not 100% deserved, but certainly the Israeli government. The contempt that's been developed. One good Ben-Gvir, I mean, these things go viral. When Ben-Gvir says something outrageous, it's out there. And people who aren't going to waste their time, they don't have time to study another country. They don't care about the history. They don't know. They just know one thing about Israel, and that was something Ben-Gvir said that was just brutal or stupid. So he's absolutely right that these guys are disasters for Israeli public relations. And by going against him, what he's saying is, I don't need Ben-Gvir and Smotrich's support to be prime minister, but Netanyahu does. So again, a lot of political domestic debating thing. It's actually good. Their true feelings we know what they're true. Naftali Bennett will kill as many Arabs as he can, just like Netanyahu will. I mean, I don't think they're equal on that scale, but he's smart. He's smart, and he is in touch with the way the average Israeli is feeling right now. They're feeling like we wasted all this. We've destroyed a lot of stuff, but we've got no security. And meanwhile, you hurt our economy. We've lost contracts. People aren't coming the tourism industry is not working. So yeah, he's speaking the language of the people there. And I think that will help him get elected once he's elected or appointed or however they do it. I think, once his party coalition is in charge and they choose him, then, what will we be then? Where will it be then? Will he, I think he will. It sounds like he's very concerned about the American attitude, which that's another problem because he's going to work hard to restore this really incestuous relationship that our government has with Israel. And I say restore. It's not really been wholly damaged at this point, but there is a rising movement, in our country that is very much opposed to being Israel's bitch. We don't want.
What happened to Section 224? Is there any progress there?
I haven't heard much about it recently, but I think the Congress was in recess or something. So I think it'll come back in. And when the Congress gets back together and does things, I think they're out and about. And I think that's why Trump is on the stump trail for some of these candidates because they're home. But when they come back together, there's that one. And then there's a couple others. The Senate has their own version. All of it's being fed into the legislative system from AIPAC and from pro-Zionist elected officials, but also the AIPAC lobby and directly from Netanyahu and his people who are working on this. And it's really, I think there's another war going on right now. It's not a particularly deadly one. It could be in the future, but the propaganda war in this country, the media, you take Paramount, CBS, CNN now is part of that group, right? They just got bought up. So CNN ran a major, two major hit pieces. I don't think the first one, I don't know if CNN ran it. They probably did, but they Tulsi Gabbard gone. Her last day was Friday or Thursday of last week. So she's gone and she released a few things that didn't get a lot of coverage in the media. about the bioweapons and things like that. But she's out. Trump put Pulte in, this guy named Pulte, who is not an intel guy. Yeah. But Pulte is firing a bunch of people. He's firing all of Tulsi's friends, going heavy after the counterterrorism group where Joe Kent was. But he's also, I think they're going to reduce the amount of people in the DNI organization. And of course, what that does is elevate CIA, which is very tight with Israel. The CIA director is, his name escapes me at the moment. I don't know why. Our CIA director is he's a strong Zionist. Okay. You've got the Pentagon, which oversees the Defense Intelligence Agency and NSA, is run by Hegseth, who is
it's John Ratcliffe. I thought so. I was going to say it, but
Ratcliffe.
John Ratcliffe.
Yeah, John Ratcliffe. Yeah. So as we fire people from the DNI, which was a structure that was put together after 9/11 as part of the Patriot Act to kind of make sure that intelligence didn't fall through the cracks. But of course, it's all politicized and it all falls through the cracks if the president doesn't want to hear it. But anyway, this coup against any non-Zionist oriented intelligence being fed up the system, that is ongoing. They did a hit piece earlier Monday. I saw a hit piece on Tulsi talking about her Hare Krishna advisor or somebody that was actually feeding her. Everything she did for the last 6 years was being written by this guy, which I don't think is true at all, but it's a clear hit piece. And then today, CNN, owned by the Zionists, owned by the Ellison family, which is on behalf of promoting Israel, CNN ran a piece, no names or sources, referring to one of the picked up F-15 pilot that we saved. Remember, I don't believe those people. I don't think that happened, right? I put my tinfoil hat on. I say, you need to show me that guy, and I want to see his wounds and his stitches before I believe that we rescued anybody out of Iran. But anyway, so this guy, this pilot, apparently got debriefed, which would be normal if he was alive. They would debrief him some time ago because this was over 6 weeks ago, and he said something about drone swarms. These totally advanced drone swarms.
Called them I was just talking to Malcolm Nass about it, breaking down what it means. He said real alien shit and called them like jellyfish, multiple drones. Everything is one.
Well, let me tell you that the article, I don't know, it was reprinted by others, but I looked up that article after I read it. I looked it up again, and they had a picture of a guy that was not the pilot, but I saw a picture of a guy, and he was dressed like in a flight suit, older guy, because remember these guys were in their 30s and 40s. The weapons officer was older than that. Anyway, there was a picture of a white man in a flight suit, looked about 45 years old, just a nondescript guy. So I put the picture into Grok. They say, who the hell is this guy? Who is this guy? Is this the pilot? Because, I don't believe that we did rescue anybody. That's just my personal opinion. Somebody's going to have to hit me on the head and show me how that works, because I don't believe it. So Grok said, no, this is a nondescript standard, Caucasian picture of a military guy. We have no, and then I said, well, they said, can you tell me more? And I said, well, I saw it in this article. And they go, oh, okay, well, that's not the pilot. We don't know. The pilot's not been identified. We don't know anything about these guys. And I know what
didn't I see a report? This pilot was, I'm sure I saw a report that this is the same
one that
pilot.
got shot down in the friendly fire
Kuwait.
With the Kuwait. Supposedly, I don't know why we let him back in an airplane.
I did see that report. Exactly. I did see that report. I knew I saw something.
Miracle man. He is a miracle man. And if I was Trump, I'd bring him right.
They're making a movie on him. I saw a story. They're making a movie on him.
They're making a movie on that whole operation so that we will have a memory of what didn't happen. Okay, this is how they do it.
I'm gonna try to get an interview with him and then get you there with me so you could meet him, shake his hand in person.
Oh,
that
good.
would my goal.
Seriously,
if he exists.
I am not refuting if this guy's alive. I mean, no insult to him, but it looks to me like he is something that was so useful for the government. They had to create him. They had to have this. But anyway, but that whole thing about the swarms and the fact that the guy said, "Oh yeah, this is what." It was amazing. It was crazy. It's amazing that the capability that the Iranians have. Did they get it from the Russians? Did they get it from the Chinese? We don't know. But the point of that was also a smear on the intelligence community, because they're saying the intelligence community said, well, that didn't really happen. You sure you didn't get hit on the head and not, this is, you're imagining this or whatever. And so they're making the intelligence, particularly out of the DNI, which is filled, of course, with a few appointees, but a whole bunch of people from all the intelligence agencies, right? I mean, that's how it works. They fill up the DNI with a guy from the Army, the Air Force, DIA, whatever. CIA sends guys over. All of the intelligence agencies have a rep on the and then they're all under Tulsi Gabbard. The idea is to deconflict, coordinate, and give the true answer to the president, which of course it was never really going to do that, because intelligence isn't, if you had real intelligence, we wouldn't have had this war with Iran, right? If we knew everything that we know today about our capabilities, about our Israelis' capabilities, about Iran's planning for a defensive war, about the strait, the nature of everything. We knew all of that over 100 days ago, didn't stop us one bit from going into this thing. Intelligence is just a tool for the politicians to use. So anyway, but they are out to get people to reduce the people there in DNI, but they're not reducing them like you would say, oh, that's what Doge wanted to do, right? That was what Elon Musk and his team, they were going to streamline and get rid of people. Well, the people that Pulte, as the acting DNI, is firing, he's creating positions that will be filled by the next DNI, because Pulte's there just for a short time. Trump even said that he's just the acting DNI. And Trump said this, he said, oh, it'll be a lot easier for Pulte to fire all these people because he's not going to be there that long. Then the new guy comes in. Now, who do you think is going to be lobbying? Who is going to be lobbying so hard to get their pick of a Zionist in that job? Because even Tulsi was a Zionist. That she was known to support Israel very, very heartily. And that's why they still tried to sink her, because they didn't trust her, because she was a little too libertarian, whatever. But anyway, yeah, when Pulte's gone, the next guy will have to be confirmed by the Senate, I guess, as they confirm these high-level positions. And the Senate is being lobbied right now as to who to put in that job, lobbied hard. Mm. And Ted Cruz will do his best, and so will others. So this getting rid of people is clearing out to fill these positions with even more pro-Israel guys, Mossad guys, dual citizen, whatever. Because and it's not because they can't. It's not because they're not qualified. It's not because they're not great intel people. They probably are wonderful people, and very qualified. But they're being put there because Israel needs them there, because Israel doesn't trust us. And this is also why the Pentagon released their report couple 3 weeks ago that, the Mossad's really, really spying on us. And it's like, why do they need to do that? They already have everything except for a little tiny bit, but they're not confident. So maybe Trump has been suggesting things like pulling aid or pulling military support, or maybe not vetoing something at the UN. That could be very simple.
That'll be, yeah.
He could just say, well, the UN's going to, I'm not going to interfere. I'm not going to help Netanyahu stay out of jail. I'm not going to sanction any more people who criticize Israel. Of course, we're sanctioning tons of people who have criticized Israel. None of those sanctions have been lifted. We are playing just like we are in Tel Aviv, acting for the Israelis. That's why I truly don't think Trump has gone that far. But he could. And I think the fact that a next president could is why they need total integration. So it's this integration in our intelligence, this community, integration via legislation. The NDAA, they're going to do a lot of stuff where everything is shared. Funding flows directly without having to go through Congress, without having to be itemized or anything like that. And this is part of Israel's survival plan. And Naftali Bennett is all over it. Okay, he understands this perfectly. He was served before as prime minister, and what they're seeing, what we're all seeing, is that Israel's not popular. So you got to really work Congress hard, because in 15 years, Congress is going to be filled with people 45 years old and 35 years old. And guess what? You can't convince them. They won't take your money. How are you going to do this? How are you going to run? How are you going to leverage U.S. power to your advantage?
They've got a very short window, very, very short window to be able to advance their
That's right.
goals.
And I think I would say it's probably in the top 3, maybe even the top 2 priorities of any government in Israel, is to fix their access and really secure their access to U.S. decision making.